happy to have with us at Dror Center Mr. Honza Schicker from Prague, Czech Republic, and Honza agreed to talk to us. So over to Honza Schicker.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm coming from Prague, but originally I'm coming from a smaller town in Czech Republic in the western Pilsen, which is known by the famous beer.
Pilsen beer.
Yeah. But since my 16, I'm living in Prague. The reason was that I did judo and I was good in it. When I finished with my sport career, I looked in something for what could change my life, because I was not satisfied with my life. And in 1993, I met actually Scientology through OCA test. And I instantly knew after I did it that this is what I'm looking for all my life.
Wow.
So I did my first bookman auditing.
This is in Prague?
It was in Prague mission.
Prague, 1993.
1993.
Okay.
I was happy. I can see that it worked. It was for me actually everything. It works.
Wow.
Because I'm very practical.
And you were judo?
Yeah, I did the judo. It was actually before this part of my life, whole life. Sport is actually my life.
Wow. So 1993, if I may ask, how old were you?
I was 24.
And now you said 50?
53, not
33.
33.
Okay.
I did many small courses, some auditings, and from different reasons, actually, I started to be a staff member in Hamburg.
Hamburg, Germany.
Hamburg, Germany, because Hamburg was actually our senior organization. So they helped us to grow up. And
this is where you met Holger Hakenus?
Yeah. I met him before because he was very often in Prague. He did there many seminars and workshops and lecture. So I became a staff member
at Hamburg
org, and I did there my first big service, which was
purification rundown.
Yeah, purification rundown, and it was amazing. And I could observe on my body, but not only on my body, the changes, how this technology worked like miracle.
Wow.
And I remember after I finished my purification rundown, I felt like clear. Although I didn't know what actually to be clear, but I felt like this. So, and I remember this feeling till this day. So there was no doubt this technology works like hell. But what I found out very early, basic my observation was that there are many outpoints in delivering this technology and handling it actually. And when I tried to bettering or to put it in technology, most of the time I was rejected as unwanted, you know.
They didn't want it.
Yes, I don't know what was the reason, but it was so. And
we are now in Hamburg.
Yeah, so we are now in Hamburg.
What year?
Yeah, 94, 95.
Around that time, Holger also came to Israel.
Really?
He stayed at our home.
Yeah.
And they wanted to help Tel Aviv or become Saint El Size.
Oh,
they
wow.
didn't call it Ideal Org yet, they called it Saint El Size. He was expert to making Saint El Size orgs. And I met him, he was at our home.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
So you stayed how long at Hamburg, in Hamburg?
Yeah, I stayed there 1 year and 4 months, I think. So it was from May 94 to August 95. And the reason was that one of the outpoints, because I was there actually illegal. I have no work permission, not any permission for staying here, and the people from the org don't care yet, but I have much more problem with it. So because I knew actually I had to every 3 months to go in Czech Republic, and I tried to convince them to make it correct, but they didn't. So I told them, okay, so it is against my integrity, so I cannot stay here. I'm illegal. I'm problem mainly for you because in German was Scientology very hunted, pursued.
Pursuit, yeah.
Yeah.
And you say that you saw many outpoints, like what?
The main outpoints what I saw was in academy, because although I study only basic study manual, so I knew that the students would be happy there. So, and when they have no amuse and other problems with study. When I came here, I can see that every student has the problem. Yeah. And most of them has incredible amuse. So they were so confused, and the supervisors don't know what's going on actually. It was so late on the chain, because first you have a misunderstanding word, but very often is this so that you have lack of mass before it.
Yeah.
So, and there is some phenomenon.
Yeah.
So when you know it, you can handle it very easy before you run into misunderstood word. So, and I was 1 year in Scientology, and there was plenty of supervisors, and most of them clears and OTs, and I couldn't see that they didn't see it. So, so it was for me incomprehensible.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you saw the outpoints in the academy. Any other things, major things that you saw that were?
That in that time, this org was one of the best in or amongst class 5 orgs. Hamburg org at Orange County, it was the best. And in the year 1994, they in Hamburg celebrating that they made 10 clears in whole year. But this org actually worked for all Europe. They came there practice from whole Europe.
Right.
And they were so excited that they made only 10 keys, so when they are celebrating this small amount of clear, this something is not good, this something is wrong, because, so where is this 1,000 of clears about was taught on the events, on the statistics.
Yeah.
Who made it when not the Hamburg or organization like that?
Yeah.
So that was my observation.
Okay, got it. So you left Hamburg org in August '95.
Yes.
And then you moved back to Prague.
Yes, that's true.
And then you continued services in Scientology?
Not so much, because the services was for me extremely expensive. What was also one of the outpoints that make no sense, because Ron wanted to give this technology to the people, to all people.
Right.
Not only the chosen one who have plenty of money.
Not only Tom Cruise, you say.
Yeah, but the prices was actually extremely high. So I have not so much money. But I was so good in standing in as a staff member in Hamburg. They choose in EGC. They will give me one intensive in their from the auditors on interns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you got this auditing.
Yeah.
And it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Great.
Very good.
Great.
So it was.
And you did some courses. You mentioned Student Hat earlier.
Yeah, I did small courses like COM course or integrity course, and so something like that, SM course.
And that was good.
It was not so good.
Oh no,
No, no.
why? What happened?
I cannot use it, the skills from these courses. It was for me not good.
And you continued services in the church for some time?
Yeah. I paid in Hamburg for a package of courses. It was student head, Proti art course, upper indoor course. These 3 courses. I started with student head.
Yeah.
But in the academy, about I told you, so it doesn't
Wow. Then go.
work. So actually, I not continued there because it doesn't work. But I have heard that in Basel or in Switzerland
Yeah.
is very good academy.
Okay.
So I tried my course there. And I finished my course student head there.
In Basel. And Basel was better.
Basel was much more better.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And you continued in Basel after student head?
No.
Because-
Because of money.
Uh-huh.
Because of money.
Uh-huh.
Because it was for me very expensive to be there 3 weeks, for example, to study there. It was really.
So you didn't go back to
No,
Basel?
no.
And then you continued or you did something?
I didn't, because I started to communicate with ED International about my findings, about my observation, outpoints, and nothing's happened. He was polite to me, but yeah.
What were the points that you wrote to ED Int about?
The main point what I'm talking about with him was the translation, because I was also translator, because I have the ability to put the text from English to Czech language. And the first was the level of translating books and courses was not good. The second was that this was, although it was not good, there was no okay from the int management that it is okay. They was used in the academy in Prague. I saw the same thing. The people has a lot of MUs, but not from not understanding the text, but from not understanding the translators, you know, because it was so bullshit, you know, for what was stay in the translating material. And I wrote about this. I thought about it. It is not okay to give these things to the students.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody listened to me, and nobody cares because there was the money so to buy. It was much for them. Was much important to buy these courses because they get the money. Then what was sold is poor quality.
So what was your last service in the church?
The last service was in 2012 and was on the Freemans.
Ah, you went to the ship, to the Freeman.
Yes,
in the Caribbean,
yeah.
Nice.
It was a nice vacation, but that was all, because my experience from being there was terrible.
Terrible.
And after that, I decided, oh wow, and never more. I cannot be connected with this group of people, you know, or this organization more than that group of people, because the people are actually good. It is nothing against the people.
Briefly, what is terrible? What was terrible?
The most terrible thing was that every evening after we finished our study, we were gathered in the some room, and there they wanted that we will put money to EIS and some this
Yes,
project.
money to donate to the-
Donation.
Wow.
Yeah. And what was for me the most shocking thing was that even $50 was for the people around me too much to put there to donate. So it was every day. It was really embarrassing.
Wow. So that was the last service in the church?
Yeah.
And that was it?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. Okay, good.